Thank you. First, thanks in advance for the patience because I know that we are coming to lunch break, so thank you to be here. I'm Pietrafesa. I'm a senior researcher at the Department of Occupational Medicine at Inail, in Italy. And I am specialized in communication and digital technologies for information and training. In particular, in the latest year, I focus my studies on road safety and climate change. This is the journey that we do together. First of all, a framework about road safety and stress, why Inail has decided to study this kind of risk, material methods, the tools, the immersive tools that we have developed about using augmented and virtual reality, and also, two different digital series game, one in sleep hygiene and one with stress, and about the conclusion. First of all, did you know that every year a city the size of Milan is entirely obliterated? Can you imagine this? Why? Because road accident is a great public health and occupational problem. Why? More than 1 million deaths per year, more than 50 million injuries per year. It is the 8th cause of death in work population, superior to HIV or other health pathologies. If you think that is the first cause of young people death in the age between 15 and 29, and the road traffic crashes cost more countries more than 3% of their GDP. And what about work? It is estimated that work-related road accidents account for more than 40% of total accidents at work, and our data, our national data, confirm this trend because more than 40% of all reported injuries are fatal. And the other problem is that 2/3 of road traffic fatalities occurs among people of a working age, so between 18 and 59. This is for this that we are studying the phenomenon. What's the problem? The problem is that the driving system is a complex activity for people and for brain because it's a dynamic balance between three different components: vehicle, roads, and human. And while from the past we have worked a lot, for example, thanks to technology for variables, if you think about the new technologies, or the infrastructure, the road, the good safety of the road, we have a lot of problem about the human aspect. Because 90% of all road accidents, including work-related, are linked to human error or to psychophysical condition that is not a good health. And in this case, more than 20% of accidents are specifically linked to sleep disorder or disturbances. The other topics is about the rising temperature and the climate change, because we know that it is estimated that there are vulnerable groups, particular outdoor workers, but it's not only for this kind of group, because we know that widely shared forecast predicts an increase in the density and duration of heat waves, with a particularly critical situation for Southern Europe and Italy. And thanks to our studies, we know now that there is it has been shown that there is an exposure to outdoor temperature and increase the risk of workplace injuries. Workers in small companies who are often younger and so have less experience are more affected by this kind of risk. The economic sector with the high risk profile are obviously for the moment agriculture and construction, because they have a lot of outdoor workers. And there is a decrease in productivity for people who is exposed to high temperature, about 60.9% of a percentage. And the severity of the heat risk and the number of heat-related injuries were usually attributed to a lack of training or, in any case, an inadequate training. Okay? So, what we have done? First, we considered that communication and training are strategic to do what? To improving knowledge and empowerment, we discussed this morning, to fostering health promotion attitudes. Why? Because we can promote change in social norms and facilitating access and adherence to national health prevention programs. But wow, for example, in Italy, we have the Italian legislative decree that established a key role for information, education, and training processes. because there are fundamental prevention issues to improve POSH in the workplace and to develop the prevention participatory culture in the workplace. So, it's not possible anymore to find only the good words. We have discussed this morning, thanks to Director Nielsen. Now it's need to find the best way using the best tools, and thanks to technologies we can find this. We used gamification. Do you know what kind of methodology it is? Gamification is an approach that refers to use game design elements in non-game context. It is really used typically to do what? To change behaviors, okay? Or to improve user experience and user engagement. And in this kind of new learning strategies, we can incorporate virtual reality and gamification to give a more effective training and a more effective communication. The goal is to finally motivate the adoption of functional behavior to lead a more safer workplace. But why? Because thanks to cognitive and affective mechanisms, games and virtualization have two kinds of different learning. Active learning and a learning by doing, learning by experience. That this hands-on approach is a key to develop essential skills and competencies in workers. In this case, literary studies, for example, highlight some aspects of playing a video game or playing. That is, for example, think about the enjoyment or the amusement to do something, to play something. Or to have, for example, aspect of motor and psychomotor, think about the balance of coordination of movement in something, certain of games. So, through an experimental multidisciplinary sectoral approach, we develop different studies for different tools in infotraining, using virtual reality and augmented reality. But why? Because I'm sorry, but everything that you will read or hear in these days, your brain will don't remember. Okay. This is a problem, is a common problem, because it is the great difference between the active learning and the passive learning. We know that when the learning is active, so when we are doing something, or when we are, for example, saw something, we can remember more. And this is the effect of learning in the workplace. So we started to see what were the best practices using in POSH field about the road safety and about the extreme temperature, to see the best practice in communication and training. And then we combine the analysis of causes of injuries linked to road accident and about exposure to high temperature through global European and Italian dataset, but thinking about some person-related determinants according to our national crime prevention, that is about age, for example, gender, or health status. Okay. Then we made a literary review just to understand what was doing in the world about this topic, and we evaluate some questionnaire to assess and validate the different digital tools that we have realized. Obviously, the data were anonymous and disaggregated in accordance with the GDPR. And what we've done, we tested these tools. So in 2022, all the immersive virtual labs and digital tools about the topic of road safety were tested and now are still using in university advanced training course, in international exhibition events, and in Italian school-to-work programs. While the digital serious game on climate change and stress is still a work in progress in this latest day. I try to show you, because I can experiment you, our lab. This is a driving safe lab. It is an immersive live safe using Oculus. And it's about the time, it's about the reaction time of drivers that is simulating the effects of various impairment on their coming back from work, for example. And it is the 5 major causes, for example, about the road accidents that are about the use of medication, alcohol, drugs, or for example, drowsiness or cell phone distraction. So you can say that you are in the car, you are driving, and you have to try to don't have this kind of accident. What about the other virtual reality? We have developed an immersive journey to learn about a phenomenon that is the obstructive sleep apnea syndrome, that is the first medical causes for fatal road accident, and also linked to work. So we develop different activities with different communication and interactive formats in this kind of laboratory. The course is approximately 20 minutes and includes some statistic immersive learning moments. For example, we have some immersive illustrative cards where learner can have interactive science into data or science about the consequences of OSA. We have also cartoon storytelling of a worker suffering of this phenomenon. And then we have some moments about interactive learning in which, for example, people could, using augmented reality, know more about road accident risk behavior. We have also a 3D video of anatomical reconstruction of how OSA occurs. We have developed an augmented reality poster because we want to show that it is not so difficult today to find a new way of communication and to deep inside to give more information. In this poster, if you want, you can scan the QR code and you have this kind of imaging where if you click on here, you have the 5 major causes of road accidents, and if you put, for example, about the first seat belt, there are some videos made by the World Health Organization about a campaign, a communication campaign on road safety. And on the other side, we have insert some detailed infographic. So it was just to show that it's possible today to give more scientific information or technical information just using an image. What about the gamification? We have developed a digital serious game using the scientific principle, literature, and data analysis about the importance of the sleep. Because we have said that more than 20% of fatal accidents at work by driving is done by drowsiness. So what we have done? First, the goal of the game is to avoid a behavior, okay, change behavior in the attitude of people who don't sleep very good. And we are constructed the avatar with the different key variables that be defined based on literature. For example, you can choose the gender, you can choose the age, you can choose the somotype, the chronotype, because it's really different about the activities that you have to do, or for example about the job. And in this 10 minutes game, players experience how their choices, for example, about the lunch or about the dinner, I can eat something that is very heavy, so I can sleep good, and this can have an effect in my sleep recovery and my well-being. And the game has 2 difficulty settings. At the end of each round, player has a personalized feedback and recommendation about the choice that they have done before, and it is presented through text, storytelling, or short video based on national and international sleep hygiene guidelines. We are doing the same things about the heat stress. The game is a game-based learning experience about climate change and high temperature exposure risk in a construction sector during a working summer day. So we have a worker who had, for example, to do an activity inside or outside for building, for example, an house, and he has different activities to do all the day. For the game avatars, key variables must be defined based on literature, also in this case, because it is based about scientific principle. So we can choose between gender, age, sonotype. In this case, skin tone, that is really important, because if I am very fair or ashy blonde, I have a different kind of risk if I am black or I am olive, okay? And for example, baldness. The game's outcome is determined by several scores that track health risk, in this case health illness, specifically health illness about outdoor temperature, UV exposure to skin and eyes, and safety rules, for example, advice given by the employer or advice made by the manager, and the use of PPA. And we also give some scores about the work production through the day. For example, if you have a goal that you have to define, to finish your activities, in the same time, so you have to protect yourself. So how can you balance the protection with the productivity? This is just to show you that recent studies have shown that the gamification can be a good methodology aimed at increasing involvement and can create a perfect balance between learning and entertainment, because gaming have, we can say, a foster social connection, because offer motivation elements that in a sort that can enhance solution, for example, problem solving. And it's really easy to put inside this kind of tools educational and information. According to this latest research, our experimentation and observation support the idea that digital gamification can be a strategy to increase involvement, relationship, and motivating PEROSH training. By blending learning and entertainment, that they could help workers to develop better decision-making skills, better understanding the risk in a safe setting, and change behavior. Our studies, in fact, ally. I don't have the time to show you our findings, but the use of virtual reality and digital gamification as a learning experience speed the transfer of new and immersive information, and almost all the participants of this innovation training experience considering them particularly engaging, amusing, and effective. And we don't have a problem about the health concern. Just one people in a sample of 200 person have a problem with the glass and the visor. And this active behavior so develops a new mental habits, a social and emotional skills, and a positive and a confident attitudes that is then reproduced in their life, but the most important is reproduced in work context. And thank you for the attention.